Elliot Landis, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, out of House Bill 1401. Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, House Bill 1401 basically promotes the First Amendment to the Constitution and will prohibit any public institution of higher education from abridging that freedom of any individual that is enrolled, an enrolled student, a faculty member, or other employee, and invited guests. And there is an exception, obviously, otherwise permitted by the First Amendment. Obviously, there's case law related to what the Supreme Court has allowed and not allowed. So it's just a restatement of the First Amendment. And I was surprised that many of our institutions actually don't have policies specifically for all those areas. It doesn't say that they can't have policies, but it just says.
Has this been a problem?
Not in Virginia, Mr. Chairman. I think there have been cases in other campuses around the nation, actually on the left and the right, where individuals, either faculty members or invited guests, speakers, have been prohibited from actually being able to speak on campus.
Sometimes it's for their own benefit.
Well,
anyway.
I got a question.
Yeah.
How do I become a co-patron? You say except as otherwise permitted. Shouldn't it be pursuant to the First Amendment? I mean, why would the First Amendment doesn't prohibit speech?
Well, I think what he means is like, obviously you can't go into the auditorium and yell fire.
Oh, I understand that. And the First Amendment doesn't cover every single spoken word. It just covers generally political speech and then.
Yeah, he's trying to get at that.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd say to the Senator that our attorneys came up with that language to.
I'm going to give you some weird legal advice. How about the constitutional freedom? In other words, if you interlineate the word, no institutional, public institution, higher education will abridge the constitutional freedom. That specifically references the Constitution of the United States.
Mr. Chairman, I think that'd be a
I'll move that just because the word freedom in and of itself might mean it, terrorist organization, whomever.
This is more or less aimed to get at this problem that you got from time to time with political correctness. And
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That.
I'll move that.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, there's not much more you could amend on this thing. Let's hear from the colleges. Any problem here? None. I've heard from UVA. Any other colleges in here? Anybody? Independent colleges? I'm blocking.
Freedom of speech.
Okay.
Anyone got a problem with freedom of speech?
Okay.
So speak now.
They don't have a problem with
Freely.
I know I do. Anyway. All right.
I move that Senator Chase seconds reporting the bill.
Okay. All those in favor of reporting as amended, House Bill 1401, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's it. All right. Next, Tag Greason asked if we,
He's here.
oh, you're here.
Yeah,
There you go.
I didn't realize I was second, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
1664.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This bill deals with the VLDS, the Virginia Longitudinal Data System. As you know, I'm sure it's a platform and a governance system with the capacity to merge de-identified data across state agencies for the purpose of research and reporting critical information. This bill does two things. One, it moves the VLDS under SHEV. If you look at the bill in front of you, line 217, it says the council, and then it goes on, number 30, shall administer the Virginia Longitudinal Data System, so that's point one. And then the meat of the bill is in lines 220 through 239, where it says the council shall annually publish data on its website, specifically talking about people who are employed in the Commonwealth 18 months after graduation, 5 years after graduation. It talks about what kind of degrees were awarded, what kind of debt they have going to college, and provides quite a bit of information that ultimately could be used to help people make decisions on the value of going to college and ultimately what the wages are associated with different degrees. Should you be an English major or a science major? And we're providing some information in a very secure, de-identified way. I have members from the program here, the LDS, if you have any further questions. It's a bill that we've been working on for a couple of years. I think it's a great idea, and I hope to see it pass your committee.
All right, is anybody here from the LDS? There's quite a bit of research here. You all do it for free under your existing budget?
Todd Massa from the State Council of Higher Education, sir. Mr. Chairman, yes, sir. The Assembly provided last year in this budget a modest amount of funding to continue the project. The language on reporting simply replaces what's about to expire this year. We've been doing much of this for 4 years now, and we're trying to expand our reporting to cover the variety of agencies that we represent now. We have 8 agencies on
All right.
board.
Anyone else want to speak in favor of the bill? Anybody opposed? All right,
Can I ask some questions?
sure. Mr. Peterson.
Delegate, so I take it to be the SHEV's gonna aggregate information about people that graduate with certain degrees from Virginia Public University. Let's say they have an engineering degree versus a gender studies degree versus an anthropology degree. Is that what's going on?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Peterson, the answer is yes, that's what's going on, but more importantly, how much did that degree cost? And
Okay.
what are your earning potentials 18 months out and 5 years out after graduation? You'll see that language specified in the.
So it's just pegged to earnings?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Peterson, not necessarily just PEG, but it talks a lot. You'll see in the language about the concepts of making sure that we understand the percentage of graduates who came out of that degree area, the average of the higher education related debt, the average salary, the rates of post-secondary degree completion,
Right.
those kind of things to help young students understand what they're about to get into.
Well, let me ask you, do the colleges in any of their, when they put out those manuals on a yearly basis, they post what, the average starting salary was for each particular major? So people who are coming in have some idea?
Mr. Chairman, I would say that some colleges do that fairly well, others to a lesser degree. The language that exists now requires that the colleges and the high schools link to our website where these data are available. And they cover public and nonprofit private colleges.
Further question?
Yeah.
What about the for-profits? What about, all the various for-profit schools that are out there? Are they gonna have to comply with this also?
Mr. Chairman, they do not. They're not part of our student level collection. They're not required to submit data at that level to the State Council because they do not receive state funding in any way, either through direct support or TAG.
Would it be you have for-profits that are certified, obviously, by
That's
Virginia.
correct, sir.
Do you get that information from them as part of their certification process?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Apparently,
That might be next
some of
year,
these
Bill.
schools,
I represent a couple.
they more closely monitor these. North Carolina had one about 30-some years ago where the average starting salary for a geography major was $3.5 million a year. They only had one graduate, and it was Michael Jordan. They didn't bother to put that in the
Probably not
year.
their average.
Yeah.
And then, one other, Delegate, I noticed that on the bill, there's each post-secondary will have to post a link. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Chairman, in my description of the bill on lines 238, 239, it says each such institution of higher education shall provide a link to such published
Okay.
secondary data and employment data.
All right, need a motion?
Senator Black moves and Senator Chase seconds. Okay,
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye, and I got all
The
those
bill
opposed.
is recommended to be reported to the full committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Recommended committee supports the bill.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Kirk, Mr. Delegate Cox, you're up.
Mr. Chairman? This is HB 2262. Mr. Chairman, this deals with the Online Virginia Network. What it's attempting to do is currently, I guess about 2 or 3 years ago, we had ODU and George Mason come together in a consortium, I think you're very familiar with this, to particularly try to promote online learning, to try to create a portal in which we almost had one-stop shop. And we thought the problem was at least in the online space, schools like Liberty were doing better on private stuff than we were doing, particularly trying to target adult learners. And so the thought being that eventually what we would like to have is where a student could go for financial aid help, where they could go for one-stop shopping. This tries to build on that concept. And the way it does that is it sort of pulls in the other institutions where they could voluntarily offer their basic online courses. It's got a whole thing that it has an authority, and it gives us certain duties. For example, expand access to affordable higher ed, coordination of online delivery, encourage each public institution to offer online courses, coordinate the maintenance of online portal, one-stop shopping, and obviously try to get other universities to participate. It's got certain goals to expand underserved populations and to do various other things. The theory is it sort of takes the next step with ODU and George Mason is doing. If I could, Mr. Chairman, I've got some folks from ODU that can sort of maybe walk through where they're at right now, and if you've got time. Yeah, Ellen Neufeld, who's the Vice President of Student Engagement and Enrollment Service. Ellen has done a lot of work on this, and I thought she might be good to sort of explain where they're at and what we're.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
My iPad has a few fingerprints on it, but I thought a visual would be worth pulling up as we chat. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you a little bit about this project today. It's really been a labor of love and a great partnership between Old Dominion University, George Mason University, Chev, and so many here. So we've been working for about 2 years to bring to life really a statewide platform so that people could more easily find their way in a seamless process to education. Obviously, some people are place-bound, and we also serve large military populations at both our school and obviously in Virginia as well. So when we think about those populations, making sure that we're getting access to higher education, well, anyone can take advantage of this. One of the key pieces is really finding, and many times, stop-outs. We know that there's over 1 million people in Virginia with some college, and we know that there's about 600,000 in some college from a Virginia school.
So they've got to either apply to you or to ODU, right? For admission.
This is ODU.
Yeah, no, I know that.
Or George Mason.
Excuse me on that, yeah.
Right now, yes. The idea is that we got it started and that others can come and be a part of this.
When you say others.
Other universities.
So they could, in other words, a student at Tech could take one of these courses now.
They absolutely could right now, yes.
Okay, and do they have to, how does that work? I mean, their school has to approve the content, and then you've got to approve them, taking the course.
Exactly. And so one of the things about this program and that George Mason and Old Dominion University have really been working on is that being a part of this, we want that seamless, what we call articulation. So the idea, if we just take our 2 institutions that are starting, is that we're saying we're going to work together to have that seamless articulation between our schools. So if somebody is getting a degree at George Mason and there's 3 courses that would make a nice minor for that degree at Old Dominion University, that we're working through that articulation on the front end so that for the students it's seamless. Also, if
So it's true, Ellen, eventually the student, if this builds out, might not even know.
that's right.
That you put together this consortium of classes and come here, there, whatever, and that's part of it. This is where, and so you would sort of help them sort of pick and choose what might work for cybersecurity.
Build a
work
pathway.
for some build a pathway.
Yeah, and part of that, exactly right, is to build the most seamless and efficient pathway so that students aren't taking things that they don't need and then they're moving through. Sometimes, especially when we're talking about a veteran, they may have sometimes come to our school with as many as 4 transcripts to work through already. And so just by the nature of their mobility, sometimes, there could be inefficiency in what we would call their pathway to graduation. To really take what they have, look at experiential learning, things of that nature to make sure we're getting the most efficient pathway for the student. Really build them access seamless way through to graduation. It's part of the mission of ODU and George Mason to really help students at all levels as higher education and graduate. And we serve already a lot of first-generation students, military students, low-income students, adult students, many that might benefit from this.
Okay.
Got a few
Sure.
questions. All right, so I've been looking up online while you've been telling me about it, and I see that GMU has an online program, ODU has an online program. I haven't seen, okay.
Yeah, the onlinevirginia.net if you wanted to.
Okay. Now, is the point that the people that participate in this, they have to apply to these colleges just as if they would apply as a
Yeah.
undergraduate
Yeah,
student?
right now, they would need to apply, there would still need to be a university that gives the diploma at the end of the day. So
Right.
they would apply for admission, so they might apply for admission, say, right now to George Mason. That doesn't mean they couldn't use some Old Dominion University courses through our
Right.
articulation agreement. But they would still need to apply for admission
Now,
to a university.
This bill looks like it's setting up a board of trustee, it's setting up the network, it's got exemptions from procurement laws. I mean, so how is this, I mean, this is setting up a structure, but it sounds like it practically is already in effect.
Well, actually, we've really just begun. I mean, we've been working for 2 years, but this portal just went live. We're planning to bring students in through it into the fall. And we do still have a long way to go and need support as we work through it. We have got what we believe is a good, strong beginning, and working with Chev and George Mason and ODU together, looking at different areas around the country that are trying to do something similar. But at the same time, we've got a lot to build out and a lot of support to put in to make it as seamless and direct as possible for the citizens of the Commonwealth.
Kirk, is there money involved in this?
Not really, Senator, because if you remember, there's already money in the budget for this online program. And this really is, Senator Peterson sets up the structure. The money really in the budget is to grow the program. So, I mean, eventually, what we're trying to do with the money in the budget is we hope to have X amount of students in 2018, 2019. So the money really is for the technology, for the student base, the professors you're gonna have to pay, et cetera. So no, I'm not saying there won't be any cost, because obviously there'll be more than some things that don't cost, but there's money in the budget that I think can easily, I mean, I think if you look at the physical impact statement, it's pretty.
They've asked, Norman Hanger have asked for this to come up to finance.
I know they have.
I mean, it's not a, it's,
And I'm trying to, yeah, and I was saying, you know, obviously do what you want to do. I don't think it has, I think there's a lot of money in the budget, obviously, for this program. So,
well,
I think it's $4 million, as a matter of fact, in the House appropriations. Y'all cut it.
yeah, I don't think that this indicates your bill's got a problem or anything, but what you might wanna do is talk to Tommy and Emmett, okay, or Tommy and,
Talk to Tommy.
Tommy is higher ed, Newman is K through 12, so why don't you talk to Tommy, cause this would be Thursday, is when we would report it and send it, you know, up to, finance.
Y'all still doing bills out there?
Well, we're not gonna let it die because of that, so you don't have to worry about that. And yeah, we're meeting next Monday,
Yeah,
next
you got it.
Tuesday. Yeah, so we're okay. Well, anyway, all right, you wanna?
Yeah, I'll move, and then I got my 3 seconds here, so.
I think technically you can't second a vote if you're a proxy, but that's okay. All right, I can now. All right, so it's moved, all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so recommend to the committee that it be reported and referred to finance unless, you know, you get something worked out prior to Thursday, okay? All right, so that's
Appreciate
fine.
it. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all get messy.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2171, I believe. Get it organized here. Yes, House Bill 2171. Mr. Chairman, this bill is a transparency bill, and it also will help us with our institutions in our 6-year planning process. Basically, what the bill does, it requires the governing boards to no later than December 1 of each year. Remember, our institutions are on the same fiscal year that the state is, so they produce their financial statements as of June 30th to report the value of investments as reflected on the statement of net position. Those of us in the private sector, a statement of net position is a balance sheet. as of June 30th of the previous year. You get to exclude endowment donations, endowment income, or other private philanthropy. We've always, in the code, we've always excluded that when we're looking at how we fund our universities because we don't want to penalize them for those activities. So you got to tell me how much money you have in your investments, the cash earnings on such balances, and then the use of those cash earnings for the prior year. If those cash earnings are committed going forward, you got to tell me how you're going to use that. The bill excludes, I'm a member of the Virginia Commonwealth University Health System Board. Virginia Commonwealth University Health System is a completely separate legal entity from the VCU educational institution. So the bill excludes the health system at Virginia Commonwealth. And then at the University of Virginia, it's exactly the opposite. The health system is a part of the university, but we go ahead and treat them the same in the bill. We exclude them as well. And then I define, and you can see the investments, of the definition of investments is the end of the bill. So this is a transparency bill, just to give us more information, number one, and that we can use when we're looking at our institutions, and particularly might help us a little bit in our 6-year planning process for those institutions. That's the bill, Mr. Chairman.
All right. I want to hear from the universities. UVA.
Laura Fornash, University of Virginia. We support the legislation. This is what we committed to after the announcement of the Strategic Investment Fund. We committed to the General Assembly that we would report annually on how we're using the funds.
Okay. Anybody else from higher ed? All right.
What happens with this report, Laura? I mean,
If you go back up to the,
if you're reporting it to Shad, is that who the council is in this?
yes,
Okay, I'm trying to read backwards here.
yes. So,
And,
governing board's duties, yeah.
okay. I mean, is it gonna be distributed to the board of members of the board of visitors? Is it gonna be put on the?
Well, I mean, Chev is gonna, I mean, it's gonna go to Chev, but it's all, we'll get it, you know, I mean, as a result of that, we'll get it over here in the legislature. It doesn't specify that we're gonna get it in the legislature, but we will.
Okay.
Let me ask you, would you have any objection to making the report? I mean, it's sort of probably obvious, but reporting not just to the council, but also to its own board of visitors.
Well, this is the
Hey, hold
government.
on. Peter.
Already doing it?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Well,
Peter Blake from SHEV. The 6-year planning process involves the House, the Senate, Governor's Office, as well as SHEV. So the reports are widely distributed that way. But it does not report directly to the boards of visitors, that is true.
Well,
But the boards of visitors, the individual
making-
boards of
they're
visitors
Right, no, I
are required to
get it.
submit
The
them to
board of
SHEV.
visitors are the ones that are signing off
Yes.
on the report.
well, I'm sure they're not making the report.
I said signing off
All
on
right,
it.
I got you.
Okay.
I'm sure everything's all well.
Yeah, okay. Act on a motion.
I'll move to report.
All right, there's a second, moved in second, all in favor say aye. Okay, we recommend that it be reported.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, 1410, that's, cap the out-of-state students bill, Dave Albo's. Anybody here to speak to Dave Albo? No, okay. That bill's gonna go, here's what's gonna happen, that bill's gonna go up to Finance Committee. So what we'll do is we'll recommend that it be reported to the committee that we recommend it be reported and sent to Finance, unless it gets a fever in education and health. In that case, it wouldn't go anywhere. But if it does, the motion will be to report and refer. So, what do you want to do?
Well, I mean, I don't know why it has to go to finance.
It's going to Finance,
Okay, well,
okay? When you start messing around with out-of-state numbers, that has to go to Finance. That's where all the bills went in the Senate.
I mean, we can have a discussion on that some other time.
I'm sure we will.
I'm sure we will also.
Okay. I'm sure the universities want to have us micromanage them from right here in Richmond. All right,
Stop putting
all right, so
employees in our Senate.
give us a motion.
I'll move to report.
All right, I'll second. The motion's gonna be to, report to the full committee. I'm gonna recommend that it be sent to finance, because that's where it's gonna ultimately go. Okay?
Oh, he's made up.
Yeah, it's on the letter.
Here's Albo right here.
Yeah. Dave, we just reported your bill. It's gonna go to the full committee and then to finance.
Okay.
Okay? All the-
Are you sure you don't wanna hear me talk about it?
All these, I got a feeling I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah. Read my
but,
mind, okay, thank you.
You know, it's not like Fairfax County is currently being penalized when we got 13.8% of the high school graduates and we're 29% of the in-state
You know what,
graduates.
can I just speak as someone who's actually a parent?
Sure.
All right.
Numbers don't lie.
You know what, Dick, let somebody else talk.
All right, go on.
I have a problem with these decisions being made by people that don't have kids in the undergraduate system anymore. I also got a problem with decisions being made by people that are employees of higher education institutions of the Commonwealth. So y'all wanna send the bills up to finance, we can have a fight about that.
All right.
I'm saying it right now to a small crowd, I can say it to a big crowd,
Sure.
okay?
I never accused you of being bashful.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Of course, as you know, neither am I.
I realize that.
Yeah. All right, guys,
All
I
right.
see it.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta rise.
Well,